GoldenEye 64 is one of the greatest video games of all time. Hell, it's probably the greatest FPS of all time. It's even my favorite N64 game. GoldenEye's my favorite movie. Weird. GoldenEye takes over my life. Anyways, when I first popped this thing into my N64, I had no idea of the cut and unused content that lied within this great game. And I really want to talk about it today. So today on the first episode of the Beta Vault, we're going to be talking about the beta for GoldenEye 64. First, a little backstory. GoldenEye was first shown in 1995 at Shoshinkai, a convention that Nintendo would usually show new games off at. Now, I can't find an exact date of when the game was shown. I'm just assuming it was around 1995, and I've heard Shoshinkai thrown in there as well. Initially, very early in development, the game was actually going to start on the Super Nintendo, utilizing the same graphic style as Donkey Kong Country. Other early elements for the game suggest that it was going to be an on-rails shooter, inspired by Sega's Virtua Cop. Now, this was taken out very early in development, and the facility was the only on-rails level that was ever made, just for testing. Alright, enough about that. Let's get into some actual footage and photos from the beta itself. What you see here is an early screenshot of the objective folder from the dam. As you can see, you had to actually complete all the objectives on any difficulty. Now, most hardcore GoldenEye players know, the lesser the difficulty, the less the objectives. But in the beta, doesn't matter what difficulty it was on, you still had to complete all the objectives. This boat would have been used to travel over to the secret island. Now, the boat is taken out of the game completely, but the secret island can still be seen in the dam. Heading down to the docks and zooming in with a sniper rifle will reveal the secret island. Using a Game Shark, you can actually cheat your way over and visit the secret island. This is the secret island. Now, when Bond would have gotten here, he would have picked up a bungee cord and a piton gun. As you can see, it's fully rendered, has 2 towers, even one with a turret in it. Although I'm not sure the buildings are solid. I can't remember. I don't think they are. Here's the piton gun shown on the watch menu. Here's the bungee cord shown on the watch menu. It is said that the player would actually jump down to this location, like used in the film, but it's nowhere to be found in the final game. Here are grates or vents from the location I just showed you. It is more than likely the player would have actually controlled Bond as he went down in this area, just like in the film. One more thing from the dam, notice the beta alarms. They have 2 ringers on it, as opposed to the final game, which only has 1. Here's a very, very early screenshot from what looks to be the facility. It looks to be around the point where you go through the door and complete Objective A. Also a big difference here is the rocket launcher. In the final game, it's sort of slimmer and silver. In this game, it resembles more of a bazooka-like. It's big and green, and it looks like Bond's holding it over his shoulder. Pretty cool, actually. It's a design I think they really should have kept in the game. Here's another screenshot from the facility. There's a few differences here. The guard's outfit is a bit different. It's more of a lighter green than in the final game. In the final game, it's a darker green with a little bit of red thrown in there. Also, notice the door over there. It has a bar or a stripe going across it. This is the start of the facility. These are the bathroom stalls. The doors are the steel doors that you see in later levels in the game, as opposed to just the regular doors that are in the final version, although they may be just placeholders. In the facilities beta, the tanks were stacked up as they were in the film, although we all know this was changed, probably because it looked retarded. Just look at it. For more of a comprehensive view with the beta facility, here's a screenshot of it. I know it's pretty low quality, and there's not that many differences aside from the tanks and a few textures here and there, but hey, something's better than nothing, I guess. Here's another screenshot from the beta, showing Dr. Dope with a briefcase. Now, it was said that it was supposed to have weapons in it, and apparently not the decoder. This was taken out very early in development, though. Here's a big one. This bike was most likely taken very early in development. and was going to recreate the scene where Bond chases the plane at the end of the runway. Now, this was probably taken out due to hardware limitations because it would be damn near impossible for the N64 to emulate something like this, but I can only speculate. A huge change that also comes with the game is the taser. In the beta, it looks more of like a grenade launcher looking thing or a space alien looking thing, I don't know, as opposed to in the final version where it looks like sort of a remote. Okay, it's been public knowledge for a while now that in the beta of the game, all Bonds up to that point were playable. Dalton, Brosnan, Connery, and more. Don't mind the Lazenby, that's probably fan-made. I've heard no tell of Lazenby being in the game. Now, they were taken out due to legal reasons, most likely because they didn't have permission to use their likenesses. These are the original models for all the Bonds, besides Lazenby, obviously. Now, it was rumored that the Bonds were going to be playable in the Egyptian and Aztec bonus missions, as well as in multiplayer. Interestingly enough, the Bonds can be seen on page 20 of the game's instruction manual. Finally, some beta footage. This shows the all Bonds in the folder menu. As you can see, it was taken from a Walmart, which was most likely a kiosk demo. Enjoy. Believe it or not, this is taken from the silo. This must have been at the start of the level, and Bond must have had to go up some kind of ladder to get to the part we know. Now, this is inaccessible in the final game. What's really odd is to just look at it. Anyways, most of this stuff is just going to be miscellaneous from now on. I already cited off most of the big changes. The rest of the stuff is just a few texture replacement and stuff like that, as GoldenEye 64 has way too much stuff to talk about. Here we see some beta footage from the silo, sticking with it. Now, as you notice, the AR-15 looks a lot different, and the guards for some reason are wearing their camo attire, as opposed to the final game where they are wearing the more greenish attire. This is the KF-7 Soviet. This was taken very early in development. The KF-7 Soviet went through one more change before reaching its final version. Let's take a look at that one next. The date for this one was taken at E3 in 1997, so as you can imagine, it's pretty close to the release date. Now, it doesn't look totally different from the final version, but it still does. As you can see, it has a line going across the top or whatever, and it doesn't look like it has a stock on the end of it. Now, this one I think really should have stayed in the game. The cradle actually had a base, and it looked a lot like it did in the film. Also, notice the mountains have more of a greenish, jungle-ish texture to it, as opposed to the final game where it's just covered in fog and you can't see the bottom, or the mountains. Now, I can't find an exact reason on why this was removed from the game, so I can only speculate. I think it was maybe due to hardware limitations, and it may have affected the frame rate. The PP-7 was actually called the Walther PPK, the real-life gun used in the film. Now, this was taken from E3 in 1997, the same screenshot that we got the KF-7 Soviet from, back there. Now, this may have meant that the developers actually wanted to keep it in the game, but took it out for unknown reasons. The timeline was also changed. As you notice here, it looked a lot bigger and it seemed to have a little more color to it. This was probably changed because it didn't look right. Also, the level you see here is most likely the facility. This looks to be very early in development. Here's another photo of the rocket launcher I showed you earlier in the video. It's a better look at it. This was taken early in development as shown by the quality, and as I said before, was taken out early in development in favor of the other one. Why? I have no idea. So that concludes the beta for GoldenEye 64. Now, there is still a lot of stuff I didn't talk about in this video. There is way too much for me to fit into one video, but I got most of the big and main changes out of the way. Now, if you guys want to see more from the beta, the stuff I didn't talk about, go to the link in the description below, unseen64.net. Those guys were a big help in the making of this video, and I can't thank them enough. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.